Meach, who was the biggest chirper on defense? We kind of probably have a really good guess on who that might
Yeah,
be, but who was the biggest chirper?
yeah. You don't have, you can just take one big guess. You were number five, man. It was Jared Verse, man. He's one of a kind. Uh, it really tripped me up at first because I didn't think he was serious to some of the things that he used to say. Like, uh, just when I first got there, I was like, "Yo, who is this guy, man? Like, who is this dude?"
Hey guys, it's Terrence Mann. You're listening to Hear the Spear presented by Noel Game Day. Go Noles.
Hey, what's up? This is Peter Ward, aka E-Dub, in the house. We're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. Go live, go Noles.
Hi, this is Charlie Ward, and you're listening to Hear the Spear. Go Noles.
This is Terrell Buckley. You're listening to Hear the Spear, presented by Noel Game Day. No Bloody.
But perhaps better known as the greatest corner to ever step on a football field, Deion Primetime Sanders.
Great Deion Sanders, my brother.
What's going on, man? I could wake up to that greeting every day, man. That was awesome.
Hello, Noles fans. This is former Seminole Derek Brooks, and you're listening to Hear the Spear, presented to you by Noel Game Day.
James Wilder Jr. What's going on, James?
Thanks for having me on. FSOD, Florida State or Die, and go Noles.
William Bar None Floyd.
Gentlemen, what's up?
What's happening, guys? This is Logan Robinson from Hear the Spear, presented to you by NoelGameDay.com. We are here live on a wonderful, fantastic Wednesday evening, and once again, we've got a wonderful, fantastic special guest with us. Looking forward to this one. Been in the works for a little while now, but we've got former FSU offensive lineman D'Miri Emmanuel, or how they call him, Big Beach, in the house with us this evening. I've been looking forward to that all week, man, but happy to have you on here with us, D'Miri. Welcome to Hear the Spear.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all having me on here. It's definitely blessed to be here, man.
100%. And down below me is our usual co-host, Austin Veazey, our lead basketball writer. And at the corner right is Dustin Lewis, our editor-in-chief at NG. Gentlemen, how y'all doing down there?
Doing great. Excited to have D'Miri on tonight and to talk about his time at FSU and his journey from Charlotte to Tallahassee and just how everything's gone throughout his college career to now.
I'm so upset at ACC officials for the UNC game Saturday, so just keep it moving.
What's new? Getting mad at ACC refs and officials. There's nothing new there. But Meach, man, like I said earlier, I've been wanting to have you on for a while. And I think, too, we talk so highly about this offensive line, and it starts up top with Coach Atkins. But until we get into that, Meach, let's talk about what you're doing right now as you're preparing for going to the league and a lot of other things as well. But where are you at? You said you're in Tallahassee in our production meeting doing some training.
Yes, sir. So right now I'm in Tallahassee. Came back just about a week and a half after the bowl game. Just wanted to get straight into training. So last year, I had to do pro day, so I got a little taste of what that was like, but I didn't have the full time to get ready and train. So I'm looking forward to continuing to train with Coach Farn and some of the other guys that I'm training with. But I'm just in Tallahassee right now, getting to work.
Are there some other guys? Who are you training with as well?
Nobody from Florida State. Just
Gotcha.
just a couple other guys that Coach knows, and so it's been good that we've been getting some good work in.
Going to kind of bounce around all over the place tonight, but obviously you started your career off at Charlotte, spent your first 5 years there. Can you just kind of talk about your time playing for Charlotte and then also the year that you were able to spend there under Coach Atkins in 2019?
Yeah, so coming out of high school, going to Charlotte, the reason I went there was really just to be close to home and really just to be the king of the Queen City, I guess. Just playing high school football there. Just to be the hometown hero. And so had some adversity when I was there at Charlotte, but I enjoyed every moment I had there. Enjoyed my teammates, and I played under a new offensive line coach every single season. So going through stuff like that, I definitely helped my transition. Coming to Florida State, just being able to learn the playbook, and just getting to know the guys here at Florida State. In 2019, when I met Coach Atkins, I definitely didn't picture, where I'd be at right now, but I'm definitely glad that I met him, and he's had a tremendous impact on my life, just on the field and off the field. just as a mentor he's been. And so, I'm just very appreciative of him. Um, and, just the lessons I've learned at Charlotte. But more so when I was towards the end of my career at Charlotte, was just looking for opportunity to grow as a player. And really as a man, I felt like I had almost just kind of maxed myself out a little bit. And I felt like just the strain for improvement, I wasn't able to exactly get all that at that time from my current situation. So I decided to hit the transfer portal, and it was really a no brainer for me. I knew who I wanted to come back to. Like I mentioned, I had a new O line coach every year. So even after Coach Atkins left, I had two more offensive line coaches, and I just realized that. I realized that I needed to be under Coach Atkins, just the way he coaches, his coaching style, his leadership, and I never looked back. So that's kind of how I ended up here at Florida State.
Did you give any of whenever you got to FSU, to give any of the heads up to some of the offensive line guys about what Coach Atkins is and what this guy's bringing?
See, the thing is, they didn't need no heads up because they had already kind of seen it, but they was more so asking me well, dang, was he like this over there at Charlotte too? Because he's very hard on us. He challenges you to your breaking point at times. But as a player and as a competitor, it only makes you, it makes you want to do better for yourself. Because at the end of the day, what I love about the things like Coach Atkins says, like, it might be very harsh to you, but he's never going to lie to you. And so, ultimately, you get to go home and look yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, what do I need to do to correct this mistake? Or, he is saying this, but maybe not listen to the message, or maybe not listen to how he's saying it, but listen to the actual message. And so, but those guys, man, they was really ready to hear some of the stories and see if he was any different, but he wasn't. He was the same guy. In fact, I think he's even more compassionate here. I feel like he has even more like connection to the guys here, just because I only had him for one season. He didn't bring in any of his own recruits at Charlotte, so these guys here, like, he brought in some of these guys, so he felt a little bit more. I feel like obligation to really pour into their success.
While you were at Charlotte, you played alongside a guy that ended up going to the NFL, and Nate Davis. What was having a guy like in that room for you as a freshman?
Yeah, so playing with Nate, and we had another guy too, Cameron Clark. So those two guys were huge in my development. I used to just try and be around those guys all the time. During the summer, we would do the football workouts, and then in the afternoon we was doing our own workouts just to get an edge on the opponent. We just had goals and aspirations. So but as a freshman and as a sophomore, I didn't really understand that the work that it really took. But really seeing those guys take their craft seriously, especially coming from Charlotte's a small school, and at that time we had only had one draft pick. So just seeing the work that it took for Nate and Cam. Nate was drafted, I believe, in 2019 in the third round to the Titans, but he was the second draft pick in school history. So seeing the work he put in, it was like, okay, if I could do the same thing, I'll have a chance to have success myself. And then Cam was saying the same thing. Super competitive guy, super hard worker, and he was a dominant player. I remember we played Clemson, and he had probably even to this day one of the best games I've ever seen as an offensive lineman. But he knew that was going to be his chance to make it to the next level. So, I was definitely blessed to have those guys in the old line room and just get as many gems as I could from those guys.
We were talking about earlier in the production meeting, Meech, but tour of duty. And we heard from Jarian. I think we talked with Brandon Fisk about it, but Jarian was very clear that he does not at all miss tour of duty. But give us your thoughts on it, because now these guys are going into it right now, and these transfers are coming in. We heard from Malik Benson, TJ Ferguson, two guys from Bama, and you said this is a style of conditioning that creates success for later on down the field. But what about for you, and how that maybe impacted yourself and also your teammates in this last season specifically?
I mean, I think, last season going into, we all knew we had talent on the team, but it always takes the work that you have to put in. And that's just something that Florida State tour duty is. It's part of the culture. It's part of the mindset that we have. It's mind over matter. Like, no matter what happens on the field, like, you have to keep your mind in check. And so that's something that, Coach Novell, Coach Storms, they've implemented, and it's tough. It's hard work. Um, and it's hard work physically and mentally too. It challenges you, but it's proven success. It's proven work, so that in the big moments, you never lose your cool, you never lose your focus, because you've already been through the ringer. That's why you can see, like, even when we played Florida last year, like, and the guy had spit in KJ's face.
Yeah.
People don't understand the composure and stuff that it takes, but like when you've been through the stuff that we go through, and some of the stuff that those guys are going through right now, it puts you in that spot that you're not, you can be as upset as you want. Of course, everyone's gonna have emotions, but you need to keep yourself under control. It's always about the team, and so it's that's kind of what the tour duty is about.
Can you take us through that moment there? Because I was on my sheet
Yeah,
here where Keandre got spat on at UF, and he took it on. I don't know if he said anything back, but that
yeah,
drive it seemed like y'all had a little fire after that and you ended up actually putting up some points. But take
yeah.
us through that moment, though, in
So it
UF.
was, it
That
was
was
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy because that was the guy. Like, the guy had just came in for the first play, the play before that, and I remember he had I had like had a good block on him, but after the play, like, he was like trying to stomp on my leg, like he was like trying to stomp on me in front of the ref, and the ref was just standing there. He didn't even like didn't even acknowledge it, but he clearly saw what happened. But it's like, all right, cool, next play, whatever. But so that the fact that the very next play, KJ had a good block on him, and it's football, especially in a rivalry game like that. Things are said on the field, but like I say, like, that's what we go through tour duty, to keep your composure. This guy obviously, lost his composure and ends up you know, spitting on KJ, and it's crazy that they even caught it on camera like that.
Yeah.
But uh, I mean, it just goes to show you, man, like, the resiliency, the mindset that we have. KJ, he couldn't even really believe that what had even happened. It was more so just like, did this guy really spit on me? Like, did this really just happen? So,
Yeah.
but shout out to that guy. He's definitely he's definitely gonna have a great season this year coming up. But yeah, this is kind of goes into the mindset. But it was just crazy that the guy even did that. His only two plays of the game, and he's out there just just trying to be a menace.
Yeah, that's something that you can just never prepare for. But that kind of leads me into my next question, and you probably already have the answer. But you finished your career in Tallahassee, a combined 4-0, 2-0 against Miami, 2-0 against Florida in these big rivalry games. Which
Yeah.
one did you dislike playing against the most? And I'm guessing it's the Gators.
Yeah, I think the Gators. I think the Gators rivalry. I think it was more. They were both fun to play in, but those games are just just. I'm never gonna forget them. Like, it just even last year, going back to, we beat Miami 45-3 last year. It was fun being up on them, but when we played them at home, just the back and forth and being able to win, seeing the impact it had when the fans stormed the field, it was like, okay, I really get the importance of this rivalry. And then this year, going to the swamp, having the adversity that we had, having to go in and win the game, with Tate back there.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just goes to, it was probably my favorite, just because of the resiliency of the team. That's what college football is about. So I would say that was probably a little bit better rivalry for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm. The going to Rodemaker stepping in, can you take us through the North Alabama game, though, when you lost JT, and kind of take us through that night overall? Because the whole entire fan base, people covering the team heavily, us there on the beat, on the ground, that hit everybody hard in a lot of different ways. But I
Yeah.
just can imagine what it was for you guys on the sideline, in the locker room at halftime. A lot of question marks, wondering if JT was good. He gets taken off and put into an ambulance. So a lot of question marks, I'm sure, for you guys. But, take us through that night, and also y'all going in and winning there against North Alabama, going through that adversity.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just a weird, like, it was just weird because it was senior night, of course, and we was all being acknowledged and celebrated. Um, and just as he deserves. There's a standing ovation from the crowd. You just really felt for him because of everything he means to this program. I mean, he's the man. it's crazy even just thinking back to it because I remember like it was yesterday. We just called this regular run that we've always run, and just when he rolled over with his leg like that, I just couldn't. It was just unfathomable, and it was just a shock for everybody at that time, especially just seeing this guy doesn't deserve it. He means so much to Tallahassee and to this team. So it was very upsetting, and it was actually like it was weird even playing like continuing to play after because it was just like you know that's the guy. But football, it happens sometimes. You have injuries and stuff like that. So you have to keep going. But I think the team, once we was able to settle in, we came back and handled business because we was down 13 actually, so we still had to come back and really play.
Mhm.
And I'm sure the guy from North Alabama, that wasn't what he was trying to do, but I mean it's crazy, but it's frustrating even thinking about it, because the other guy doesn't deserve it. But I know he's gonna bounce back from that injury, and he's gonna be a great player in the league. But it was tough, man, for everybody. You could just hear it. The stadium was quiet. I mean, everyone that was watching probably was. Everyone had the same reaction. Like, is this really happening? Just praying that he's okay. You know.
And then moving into those games, we talked about Florida, but having Tate back there, and then the ACC championship against Louisville, and then Brock Glenn stepping in for that one. The offense was obviously very shorthanded, and with this offensive line being such a veteran group, did you guys meet and talk about anything like going into these games, like how you guys need to step up, or what was kind of like the message going around the unit in the locker room?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the next guy up mentality. We all believe in Tate. Tate's been a good backup quarterback for us the last couple seasons, and he had shown good flashes during the season. But we definitely had a heightened sense of urgency for the offensive line specifically about okay, this is going to be on us. We are the most experienced O line in college football, and it's for a reason. We have 8 guys that coming in and rotate and play. And even that is just takes an unselfish mentality, because we all want to play, but it takes a certain type of players to be able to come in and and handle business. So yeah, that was definitely something that we discussed that was going to be on our back, and whatever happens from this moving forward, we need to make sure that we're on point. So even more, we watch film even more, and you could even see if it wasn't us specifically the defense stepping up even more so because we all wanted it bad. Going through a season like that, it's hard. It's hard to win every single game, and
Yeah.
we were, at that point it was 11-0, so we were so close to reaching our dreams and aspirations that we set in the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just more so, all right, whatever we need to do to figure it out, we're gonna do it.
Mm-hmm. What's it like? What was it like playing next to someone who I think gets overlooked a ton, but Maurice Smith in
Yeah,
the middle there? What can you say about him? Because he's a guy. It's funny whenever Micah Pittman was there, he was doing the vlog, and they're over there messing with him and trying to
yeah,
pick on him a little bit. And he kind of likes the camera, but then he doesn't like it. But then
man,
on the
yeah,
field, though, this guy delivers, and he's someone that has been the foundation for this offensive line for multiple
yeah,
years for Florida State. Tell us about Mo and maybe a few other guys that will be returning going into next year, like a guy that
yeah,
like Darius Washington, who's practically a hybrid in that room for you guys.
yeah. I mean, those guys have had tremendous development throughout the years. I mean, both Darius and Maurice, both guys that came in 2019 before Coach Novell got here, have really thugged it out and have improved, every single season. Maurice, man, has been through a lot of things that people wouldn't even understand. A lot of people wouldn't have sacrificed a lot of things that he's done and been through, just to be able to put on. And he's a tremendous leader for the group and for the whole team, much respected around the whole program. So he's a big guy. He's a big factor in a lot of the success that we've had. And it makes life way easier when he's out there. He's like the field general for us. So he's a tremendous player and tremendous leader. And then Darius too. I mean, he doesn't even practice the position he plays during the week. Like what he plays on Saturday, he hasn't been practicing all week. He's been at somewhere else, some other position. But he somehow finds a way, and whenever he's asked to go in, he's able to handle business. So, I mean, the versatility that he's had, it's not easy to do. People think that, he can just go play left tackle, then right tackle, then go to center. Like it's a lot of communication, and your brain has to move at a high rate, for you to be able to do that type of stuff. So, those two guys, tremendous leaders, and big for the program. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this O line looks like coming up this upcoming season. But we've got some great additions, some young guys that can really come in and step up, like Jalen Early, Julian Mella. You like to see them have big off seasons this season and really contribute. But guys even coming back like KJ, and then the transfers that we got. So, and JB, those guys are all gonna have good seasons this year. But it's crazy, just the impact that those guys have on the field and even in the locker room.
This is from our guy JC Allen from Bucks Game Day. He's got a question for you, Meech. What kind of problems does Fabian Lovett bring in practice, and what do you think of him moving into the next level, into the league?
Fabo is a beast. He's a monster, man. You can tell every time he's out on the field, he's playing for a different reason. He's trying to really feed his family out there. I've really respected Fabo, even especially when I first came in from Charlotte. Big leader on the team, hard worker, and he was like the voice of the team. And so just looking up to him, and that's the guy I had to go against every day at practice. Just to get my respect. So I definitely have a lot of respect for Fabo, and all the things that he's been through, battling injury, especially last year. And still having a big role on the team. Fabo is I'm sure you guys have seen clips of him going crazy this week at the East-West Shrine Bowl.
Yep.
That was like that every single practice, and that's honestly why some of the guys have had so much success at these All-Star games, because the way we practice. Like we don't take practice lightly. We practice very hard, and it's very intense and it's very competitive. So, that's why you've been able to see some of these guys have success.
The 2023 season, those first 13 games when you guys were undefeated, it wasn't an easy stretch. There were 4 times where you guys had to overcome a double-digit deficit to come back and win a game. So I just wanted to ask, what made this group so resilient in 2023 whenever there was adversity to keep fighting and stand up in the face of it?
I think going into the season, knowing that we were so close last year, the 2022 season, just missing those. We came on short those 3 games, but we all feel like we could have easily those games could have easily gone our way, and so just learning those lessons, but also bringing a lot of those guys back for this season, going into the season. We was on some stuff like no matter what it takes, we're not gonna leave without a victory,
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes when you find yourself in those moments, like even versus Clemson, like the whole mood in the locker room and the defense coming over to the offense, and just encouraging offense, going over to the defense at times when you needed to, just encouraging the defense, like, yo, we got y'all back, like. It doesn't matter what happens during this game. We know what we're capable of doing, and we were only focused on us, and that was the best part about it. We just wanted to play our best game, and you can see it in clutch moments. We was able to come up big. So,
what to you? How do you describe Mike Norvell and his coaching since you first arrived, and then learning more about him, and now you moving on to the league? And it seems like he's very hands-on, no matter what, in the recruiting side, transfer side, and then post, and make sure that he's seeing, he was just over there with a couple of the guys at the East-West Shrine Bowl, and I'm sure he's gonna be over there in the Senior Bowl checking in on some guys. But what do you say about Mike Norvell since you're first meeting him, and then now where you're at presently?
I mean, Coach Norvell is the real one. Like in every, he's the realest. I remember when I first met Coach Norvell, just how intense he was in our first conversation. And he basically was telling me, that if he's ever lacking, hold him accountable, to the standard that he's asking of us. But you never had to do that with Coach Norvell. He held that standard for himself and for the whole team every single day. He's intense. He's passionate about the game. He loves the game of football. He's a guy on Sunday, like he's watched the whole game. He knows everything that you did, good and bad. He's talking to you about the game. He's pouring into to office players, regardless of what situation you're in. I really can't say enough good things about Coach Norvell. He's the man for real, and we're really blessed to have him here at Florida State. He's one of a kind. So, I just appreciate everything that he's personally done for me, and the team is going to continue to be successful under his leadership.
We talked about Coach Atkins earlier, but he had two really good assistants under him that also work with you guys every day out there,
Yeah.
and Coach Fertitta and Coach Williams. And I know Coach Williams has now moved on to Missouri, but getting a chance to just work with those trio of coaches the last 2 years, how do those guys factor into the equation as well with Coach Atkins?
Yeah, they're huge. They're a huge part of it. I mean, they don't always get the credit like they deserve, but I mean, those guys are the ones that's helping us break down the film during the week, helping us find the tendencies. Just being there for us when we're not always able to ask Coach Atkins, and being able to teach us the game of football at a high level. They were very good at what they do, and I wish Coach Williams the best where he's at right now at Missouri. I know he's going to continue to do great things, and he's going to be a great coach. And Coach Fertitta, just appreciation from where he came from. He was a high school head coach for a long time in a very successful program. And it just goes to show you what it means. He comes to Florida State, and as more of just a service role to help us understand and be successful. Those guys deserve just as much credit as Coach Atkins, because they're with us just as much, going through all the stuff during the week to make sure that we're on point.
Meech, have you ever been interested? We talked about it in the production meeting, but interested in coaching? When we were watching you at practice, you couldn't practice. You could sort of do a few things here and there, but you couldn't go full contact, obviously, and everything. You were in that waiver process with the NCAA.
Yeah.
But it seems like after your playing days, do you have any interest in getting into the coaching side?
Yeah, I absolutely do have interest in that. I love the game of football, and I love what it can provide for people, and the opportunity that it can provide for for these young men. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot to be all into it, but it's something that I do believe I can do. I have a passion for it. The X's and O's. It's been easy for me to learn different schemes, and I just want to be able to be a teacher for that, and help relate through my experiences throughout college, and pour into the next generation. If I can't do it anymore, I want to be around the game as long as I can. So I absolutely want to be a coach one day, and it's all going to come into fruition. Just need to let time play out.
And not only helping the guys out there at FSU's practice, but I believe whenever you first transferred to FSU, you were out at a couple of those summer camps, whenever the high school kids came in, and helping out there as well. So, I mean, it really shows.
Yeah, no, I definitely do. I mean, those high school guys, I remember me being one of those guys, just trying to come to the camp and get an offer or impress the coach, and just basically, showcase my talents and get coached up too. So it's different in high school, because it's only with those camps, you only get a certain amount of time with these guys to pour in. But anything that they can get, those guys are trying to soak as many gems as you can. So definitely just blessed, man, to be in the position I was in, and just give back.
We talked about it whenever you hopped on the podcast, but being from Charlotte and then going to Charlotte and spending your first 5 years there, how special was it really to return to Charlotte, for that ACC championship game, and then also to come away with a victory that night and, have a ring on your finger forever?
Yeah, that's definitely going to be something I remember forever. I'm always going to be able to turn that TV copy on and just watch the game, and relive those moments. Coming back to Charlotte, it was a full circle moment. I had always especially playing at Charlotte, it was always the ACC championship there, and that different teams obviously were playing in, and then they had the Belt Bowl, and I always wanted to play in the Bank of America Stadium. So I had never had a chance to do that. So being able to come home, it was just extra motivation. Definitely playing in front of my family and friends, something that I'll always remember, and I'll always appreciate the work that it took to get there. So, it was a blessing. It was really surreal, to be honest with you, but something I'll always cherish.
Meech, who was the biggest chirper on defense? We kind of probably have a really good guess on who that might be, but who was the biggest chirper?
Yeah, you can just take one big guess. He won number 5, man. It was Jared Verse, man. He's one of a kind. It really tripped me up at first, because I didn't think he was serious to some of the things that he used to say. Like, just when I first got there, I was like, yo, who is this guy, man? Like, who is this dude? But he backed it up every single time, which is what I respect the most about him. I really think partially he did it just to motivate himself, to hold himself to a high standard. Because you can't be talking trash and then be getting whooped on. So, but it was very hard to do that. And I don't really see too many people that actually did it to him like that. So, if I was him, I would keep talking too. It was working for him. But yeah, that was definitely Jared Verse. He could take that title for sure.
We have videos of him, the ones that went viral on our Instagram, of him chirping coming into practices. First day of pads when Shells came on, man.
Yeah.
Was that you? Someone was talking back to him, but
I think
that
it was
when he
JB. JB. See, I'd already realized that this is what he does. So I'm not gonna let him affect my practice. But that's what he wants. He wants you to go back and forth with him. You know what I'm saying? Just so when he beats you, he can turn up even more. But yeah, walking into practice, that was the mindset, that was the mentality. So it was like, okay, cool. Like, let me strap up, let me get ready to go. Which is, it's part of the game. Our practices were super competitive. So
yeah,
all respect to him, man.
Yeah, he'd be talking trash with Atkins too. It was hilarious. It
Yeah.
was great for content and stuff, but you guys kind of just kept quiet. And it delivered though on practices. My favorite part of going to practices was watching y'all 3v3s, these are one-on-ones, OL versus DL, Atkins and Odell. You guys going at it, and it gets physical, and chirps get chirped, and if you can back it up, you back it up. But super super fun part about practice, and you guys do get after it. I know that Coach Norvell. From what Jarian told us, you don't have any time to rest. We see it. You've got to be at your drill with 30 seconds left, not let you get there at the 0 mark. You've got to be there ready to go with 30 seconds left.
Yeah, it's crazy. When we get those breaks, he says 90 seconds. Once you hit that 90 seconds, just go ahead and grab your helmet and start heading where you need to get to. Because if you're late, we're going to up down. We're going to do something, that you don't want to do. But just shout out to Coach Norvell and really just the whole staff. I'm just very appreciative to have been playing here, and I know those guys are going to continue to have great success this next year.
I hate we've even got to ask you this question, but you guys
lead that off every time with that.
I don't know how else to lead it off, but you guys go 13-0, win the ACC championship with your second string and then also third string quarterback, and then 12 hours later snubbed by the college football playoff. Can you just talk about your reaction and kind of the aftermath of that really tough situation?
It was demoralizing. It really sucked because you win the ACC championship, and apparently there was like talks about us already not being in, but we hadn't heard none of that. We was just happy. We won the ACC championship. We heading back to Tallahassee. We got a watch party for the next morning. Surely they're not gonna leave the 13-0 Seminoles out. And it's just when we was watching it, it was like heartbreaking because you work so hard to accomplish your goals, and you everything's in your hands. You win every single game. You don't lose a game, and then to not be recognized like that, it really messed us a lot of us up for a couple of days, man. But I've kind of just took back from it. It's really life. Like sometimes you can do everything right, but sometimes this life won't go your way. But how are you going to respond from that situation? And I know those guys are going to respond, in a tremendous way. That's also why I kind of wanted to just play and finish my season out, going against Georgia in the bowl game, just because there's another chance to just showcase my talents and, just finish it up one more time for the Seminoles. But that was probably like definitely one of the most disappointing moments that I've been through in my life. And but sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, man. So I'm always gonna be thinking about it. We're all gonna have feelings towards it, but you can't change it now. So it's just like, damn, you remember the time when they left us out? Yeah, it's always gonna be like that. We always gonna talk about it, and but I'm glad that the guys that they did put in. I ain't gonna lie, I'm glad that they lost. The teams that that weren't undefeated go out. It's not right, man. It's not right.
It just makes it even worse for those teams to go in there and they both get knocked out in the first round. I mean,
yeah, it's just like putting salt in the wound, bro. It's like it's like, come on, man, because it's not, no matter what happened, we always rose to the occasion. We always played our best when we needed to. So it's frustrating to know that we're not going to get a chance to showcase that, but it's just part of it, man. I haven't accepted it 100%, but it's just life. Like I say, sometimes things just aren't going to go your way, man. So how are you going to look at the next opportunity?
I've only got two more for you, Meech, but this one on the brighter side. We always ask a guest here on this, and specifically a player. And of your size, I think we're going to get a good one here. I'm expecting a good one. But favorite food spot in Tallahassee during your time? You're still there right now, but if you've got a couple of them, feel free. Jarian put together like 3. I think Braden had a few. Braden Fisk, he's over in Midtown. He's more of a classy guy, so he's over there with the older folk in Midtown. But
man, I'm in college
like,
town with the Young Bucks, man.
Not at recess?
Yeah, right next to recess, dog. Right next to recess. I was 2 places in O-line used to hate me because every week I used to I want to go to Nagoya, man, where they cook the food in front of you. I don't know why. Like, I always just liked it, and it was good bonding time. So I used to always hit the O-line up every week. We was going to Nagoya, and then I would also say another place I like, Crafty Crab, like with the seafood. I think they do a really good job, here. So that's probably, every time I go there, I'm going crazy. So, those are my 2 spots so far in Tally. Nagoya, I would say for sure, and Crafty Crab, man.
I like it.
2 years at Florida State, obviously a ton of success on the field. You were named All ACC both years in Tallahassee, first team All Selection this past season. Looking back at your career in Tallahassee, what are you going to remember the most, whether it's on or off the field?
Just the relationship I had with the guys. Just Tallahassee is just them embracing me. With open arms. I came in really with not very high expectations from everyone on the outside, but for myself, I wanted to make an impact on the team and really just do what I could to help the team win. And so it's crazy just because it's over now. It went by so fast. I had so much fun. I would say I had the most fun just getting to know just those memories of my teammates going in, beating Clemson, the rivalry games, and even just the memories in the locker room, the relationships I had. That's probably the main thing that I'm gonna take back. I definitely, it wasn't something I expected coming into Tallahassee, but I mean, I'm so grateful for everything that's happened to me these last 2 years. Just coaches pushing me to be able to achieve the accolades I did, because when I first came in, I was struggling really hard. But like I said, you have to look yourself in the mirror and really just decide what you want out of this. So, I would say those are the main things that I'll remember the most. Just the guys, man, the special people, the connections that we had. It's been a lot of great teams in Florida State going undefeated. I'm never going to forget that. So,
my last one for you. What would you tell a transfer that's deciding to go to Florida State, or if that's one on one of their list to come visit? What would you tell? And I'm sure you've done this already and doing some recruiting on FSU side in the offensive line room. But what would you do if you're sitting down talking to a guy just straight up, man to man? What are you telling them about Tallahassee and FSU?
If you're looking for a place that's all about football, this is the place you need to be. You have the coaches that are all about ball. Everything is poured into the success of the athletic program here. Everybody is from the AD all the way down. We're all poured into the success of the team. We take it very seriously. So I would say if you're a guy that's looking to play ball, you love football, you love to compete, you love the hard work, this is the place for you. If it's not, it's not for you. That's why we don't take everybody, But it's a special place. You got to be a certain type of guy to be here and to play for the coaches and to have the unselfishness to continue to have success here. So I would say that's just the main thing. It's all business here. We have a lot of fun because we work hard. But if you're looking for that, this is the place for you.
Sounds great. I think that's a pretty good
Yeah.
recruiting pitch right there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to use you there.
Yes, man.
But
Yes, sir.
hey, man, you've been on. We got you for 40 minutes extra time,
Yeah.
so appreciate you hanging out with us. We'll be staying tuned to you as you go further too, and you're playing games, and too also as well. Keep us updated too. You're going to be participating in the pro day, correct, at FSU?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay.
sir. I'll be there March 22nd, I believe, is the date.
Okay, perfect then. So we'll have full coverage on you as well as a handful of
Okay.
other guys. It's going to be a fun
Yeah,
off
it's gonna be
season.
packed.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun pro day for sure.
Yeah. Yes, sir. No, it's definitely gonna be fun. It's gonna be a lot of guys out there, a lot of opportunity. So no, I'm looking forward to showcase my talents.
Hell yeah, man. Well, appreciate you, Meech, coming on here.
Yes,
Wishing you the best. Stay healthy for sure. But I think a lot of FSU fans love this interview, giving some insight from the trenches on the offensive side this time. This was awesome. So I appreciate you
sir.
and all the time you gave us.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all, man. For real. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Dimitri, and good luck preparing for pro day. Looking forward to seeing you out there.
Sir, appreciate you, brother.
Sweet deal. Dimitri, Big Meech, baby. Finally, I'm looking forward to having him on. Super talented guy, held his ground on the line for 2 years, and someone that I think Jordan Travis is really happy to have there on the line for him, and along with other offense quarterbacks that he was having to protect. I was like trying to figure out who else Dimitri's having to protect up there, but he did a fantastic job during his career at Florida State. Like you were just saying, Dustin, first team this last season. He's a stud.
Been waiting on this one for a while. You know, Dimitri, so well spoken, and was really excited to see what he's done at Florida State these last couple of years, and it's going to be fun to watch him as he works on this transition to the pro level.
And I'm telling you what, too, the competition that he had to go through on a daily basis. You're in practice daily there, but then when I was there, it's no joke. Those guys go to battle every day. So, when it comes to Saturdays, things may be a little bit smoother for them. But just also, too, to get some insight on Darius Washington, a player that's returning this next season along with Mo. Florida State starting center. The future is extremely bright for Darius Washington. That just to know that there's some times where he's not exactly practicing for the position and he gets jumped into a game, which we do see, and we're like, oh, there's Darius Washington. He's now played 2 positions this quarter. It just goes to show how intelligent he is as a player as well, and what Florida State has going into next season.
Really special group coming back, not just him, but we talked about Maurice Smith, Keandre Jones. You've still got Robert Scott, Jeremiah Byers. So some real talent coming back. Florida State's landed some guys out of the transfer portal like they did with Dimitri a couple of years ago. And once again, it's looking like a promising offensive line entering the spring.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into some quick hitters before we end off the podcast tonight. There's a handful of things. We're going to talk about Florida State's new staff addition. We're going to talk some newcomer interviews. We'll talk Senior Bowl, Jordan Travis update there. He talked to a certain team during his time at the East-West Shrine Bowl, which I am pretty happy about, I must say. And then also we'll talk about Rodney Hill and now flipping back over to the Rattlers in Tallahassee. And then we'll talk a little bit of NFL projections, specifically talking Jared Verse and Keon Coleman there, those 2 guys projected in the first round. But let's talk about Florida State's new staff addition. Gentlemen, a Kane killer, a FSU Hall of Famer from the 2019 class. Rick Stockstill is joining Florida State staff. I about said Rock Stockstill. I about said Rock.
The Rock is joining.
The Rock is joining Florida State staff. I don't know where they got the money from to do that, but the Battle's End is pumping. But Rick Stockstill, former Middle Tennessee State head coach for 18 years, has joined Florida State staff as a director of scouting for offense. He told, this is from Mike Norvell. He said, I'm fired up to add Rick to our coaching staff. He brings a tremendous amount of football knowledge and experience to this position and will serve a vital role in our preparation as a staff. Rick's perspective as a former player here under Coach Bowden, as well as a head coach for nearly 2 decades, will be valuable as he helps us continue our program's climb. It's clear how much Florida State means to Rick, and I'm excited we have this opportunity to bring him back to the Knoll family. So I think this is a really solid addition to Florida State.
successful former head coach, FSU Hall of Famer, 40-plus years of coaching experience. I don't really think there's one that you can go wrong with right here. Rick Stockstill took down Miami a couple years ago, a big upset in Coral Gables with his squad at Middle Tennessee State, and now come back to Tallahassee. It's actually funny because I remember in the aftermath of that game, whenever they went and beat Miami down there and beat them bad. I mean, it was I believe a 21-point game. It wasn't one of those upsets where, like Florida State had, where they lost on the last second Hail Mary. It was a decisive upset. But in the aftermath of that, I went and found his brick out there on the Legacy Walk. So, I mean, this is someone that's very well respected in Florida State program history. And to bring him back, in that director of scouting role on the offensive side of the ball, he's going to be replacing John Garrett, who moved to Duke earlier this offseason in the general manager of player personnel role. So this is Florida State, replacing a staff member who was hired away, and I think they got a quality one here in Stockstill.
Yeah, that was a top 25 Miami team at the time. People kind of forget that, but they were ranked 25th, and Middle Tennessee went down and whooped them up the field. That play that everyone remembers is, Middle Tennessee was backed up against their own goal line and just beats Miami over the top for, I think, was a 96-yard touchdown. I don't think you're going to get any complaints out of that.
No, I don't think so either. Beating the Canes like he did, but I need to bring up the clip. Maybe I will at the end of this show. But Stockstill was very happy.
You've got some personality.
Yeah, and I think it fits well for this program and where they're at, and there's some confidence building as built into this program, and I don't think there's any kind of worry that Stockstill doesn't have that kind of a vibe. He's got a lot of courage, and bringing that over to Florida State is just what they need, and a great addition. This is what Stockstill said in the press release. He said, "I'm very appreciative and humbled for this opportunity to join Coach Norvell and his staff. Watching him build this program and getting to know him as a person has been rewarding for me and many other former players. My time at Florida State University was crucial to my development as a person and as a professional. And I'm excited to be back at a place that means so much to me. I'm looking forward to contributing to the cycle of impacting others as part of an already successful staff." So, really, really nice addition here for Florida State moving forward. We heard from a few newcomers. We're going to have this going on for the next couple of weeks, but we were supposed to have Jalen Brown added into this mix. But outside of that, though, we heard from Malik Benson, TJ Ferguson, both those guys, Alabama transfers, and Miami transfer Devontae Brown. A couple of things that stood out to me. I quoted one on Malik Benson and, him working with DJ, Florida State's new transfer quarterback from Oregon State. Those two have already been working together, which is great, already building some chemistry there. But one thing that Malik's going to be bringing to this offense, he said, first, I would say my speed. I think just off the line, I can definitely be the deep threat in this offense. And I would just say my attacking the ball point and route running is something that he brings and attributes to this offense. And that's something Florida State loves to have. And you can see the amount of speed. We talked about it on a show a couple episodes ago about how much actual guys that are to be flying around on this offense, and definitely in that wide receiver room. Norvell's stacked up with a lot of talent there, but Malik Benson specifically saying, I can take that deep ball. And if you go back and look at some of his film as well in JUCO, yeah, he can fly.
If he reaches his full potential in Tallahassee, I mean, it's going to be very fun to watch. This is a guy that Florida State, they coveted him before he entered the transfer portal. They were already interested whenever he was back in junior college, chose Alabama at the time. So now to get a second chance at him, I mean, as soon as he hit the portal, Florida State was going out there trying to get Malik Benson. And, we see with what DJ's strengths are coming into this offense, it looks like Florida State is going to be putting that ball in the air and throwing it deep a ton this season. And I think the addition of Malik and Jalen Brown and some of those other receivers they have coming back that could grow into special players only speaks to that offense. So, I mean, it's only going to be fun. He was talking about tour of duty and starting to get involved into that. And I think as we see him, hit the ground running, get into spring practice, start to get the system under his belt some more, it's going to be very fun if Florida State can unlock some more of his route running and things like that, because the athleticism, the ability to be a very special athlete is all there.
Mm-hmm. And then I want to note it too on TJ Ferguson, something that he said about having a few of his Alabama guys coming here. And quote, he said, "It's nice having other guys from Alabama here. Just when I came down on my visit, Earl Little Jr. was down here as well on his visit. So we kind of talked about going ahead and doing it. So we were really the first two down here and then started trying to get everybody else, just add pieces to the puzzle," he said. And the guys that are here from Alabama, they're all great. Malik, Sean, Earl, Rodell. Yeah, everybody's great on and off the field. That's a big thing about Florida State is how you are off the field. And so I thought that was pretty interesting there. Just a guy that just landed in Tallahassee and just really saying something that we've been harping on for a couple of years now, what Mike Norvell likes adding in that locker room. Off the field guys are a big deal for what Florida State's bringing in. And yeah, talent's huge, but guys off the field and making sure that chemistry is built well and having the same focus in the locker room is huge.
And I think that's been so important to the success. I mean, it's great to have all of these talented players and guys that can go out there and do it all on Saturdays, but you've got to have guys that fit into the locker room, because 6 out of the 7 days you're not out there on the game field. And, you know, you got to have things meshing team chemistry wise and through practice and in film sessions, going to class, things like that throughout the week. So, I mean, the off the field is just as important as the on the field. And we've seen Mike Norvell and his coaching staff, you know, that's very important to them and how they go out and recruiting guys in high school and in the transfer portal. And it's really paying off for Florida State. And TJ Ferguson, another one where Florida State, he was a very highly recruited guy out of high school. Florida State was right there in the mix for him, but they weren't as successful as they are right now, weren't as proven. But he even said it in his interview, you know, Florida State, everything that they told him during the recruiting process back in high school, they've done so far. So he really trusts them, and, you know, he's excited coming to Tallahassee and hopefully reach the potential that made him such a highly touted recruit at the prep level.
We'll be hearing more interviews later this week. Actually, tomorrow morning, we'll be hearing from Florida State's starting quarterback for the 2024 season. What'd you say?
And Jaylen Brown.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully so. We missed him, man. We missed him on Tuesday. I was looking.
Well, I mean, I guess he was getting that car. I don't know if you saw his Instagram. He got himself a nice little.
He did.
Little piece, so, oh yeah.
I saw a handful of guys get some whips.
Yeah, so maybe he was. You know, he had more important things to do. I don't blame him. That thing. You might have to go check it out after the podcast.
Well, I know Fentrell got a nice new whip. I know Cam Davis, Florida State's true freshman.
I saw Charles Lester.
Richie Leonard.
Got one. Richie got one.
Yeah.
There's someone else too.
Hold up now. Really, Florida State to Alabama is Alabama to Florida State. That's just like getting kind of crazy now. Dealerships. Shoot. Sign me up. But yeah, that was just a few quotes that I thought stood out to me during those newcomer interviews. We're going to be hearing from a handful of guys tomorrow morning, including DJ. I want to talk about a little bit of the Senior Bowl. That's just now getting started. We're starting to see some highlights from some guys. And like Dimitri was telling us earlier, there's no shocker that some of these guys are flashing, and like Fabo, but then also too, now looking at Johnny Wilson, a few other guys that are having some shine there at the Senior Bowl. But specifically from the East-West Shine Bowl, we had an update from Jordan Travis, and he had an interview there with one of these Steelers outlets, and, you know, kind of gave him some scoop on his recovery there. We actually were not, you know, given, you know, the full injury, and that all was disclosed college side, but now going to the NFL draft, we're going to get a lot of details on what he suffered against North Alabama, but ended up being a fibula fracture. He told the outlet that he's about a couple weeks, probably 2 or 3 weeks away from actually being out of the boot. I posted a video of him. He put on his story of him walking without the boot, so making some big progression there. He did tell the outlet as well that he's been invited to the combine, so he'll be there. He'll undergo the meetings. He'll go through health evaluations. He'll go through the interviews as well with the media too. So he will be in Indy doing some things with the NFL combine, but obviously still recovering, so he won't be there on the field doing some stuff. But he did get and have a meeting and talked with the Steelers, which sign me up. I mean, I don't know, like, what else go from.
Do you think he met with your new offensive coordinator?
I was just about to say, I almost don't want him now to don't come to Pittsburgh yet. Maybe in a couple of years once Arthur Smith's fired after. Well, we do like to keep offensive coordinators for 3 years, 2 years of just awful work, just, keep them for an extra year. So I don't even want to talk about Arthur Smith. But, met with the Steelers. I love that. Sign me up. But I think he's going to meet with we're going to hear a lot of things about Jordan Travis meeting with a lot of teams moving forward, and someone that might be flying a little bit under the radar, obviously going through this injury changed a lot for him, and there's a lot of guys top of him on that board. But someone, if he's able to get continuously to continue to get developed on the NFL side, I think there's some high optimism for him and his career in the league. But he said he'll be 100% for the NFL season 2. So that's really big news, guys.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it said he's hoping to be fully recovered around May, give or take. So, I mean, that would be a really good timeline considering that injury happened there later in November. But, you look at Jordan Travis and what he's done these past couple of years and just prove that he can get better and better. I mean, year over year, we've seen it on the field. And now the injury that he's coming off of, from what we are hearing and what he said, it seems to be more of a broken bone than more of a ligament. And I think that's easier to come back from. So, I mean, we'll see how his recovery goes, obviously, but it's not going to be a surprise to see, more than one in the Pittsburgh Steelers, more than one NFL team express interest in Jordan Travis. And I don't think it'd be a surprise to us if he does get picked in April.
I'm just hoping he goes to a team that's willing to cater to his strengths instead of trying to mold him into a certain system, because he does have limited arm strength. He doesn't drive it as well as you'd want him to at the NFL level, but he's still going to be a productive player in the NFL if he goes to the right system. No offense, Logan, I don't think Arthur Smith's going to be doing that. So hopefully
you don't have to be offending me. I already know. I've already
hopefully a smarter team picks him
last
up.
week enough. I almost jumped off my balcony once I got the notification. And even too, whenever there was reports that he was getting an interview, I about lost it. But then to have it actually officially happen, goodbye, George Pickens. Adios, bye, Najee Harris. That was nice knowing you. And we'll see who else wants to play under
Calvin Austin, though, about to have 1,000-yard season.
That's right. Going to be the next top wide receiver in the league next year. So, oh God, please. But yeah, don't go there now. But I am kind of selfish, so I wouldn't mind having Jordan Travis there in Pittsburgh. But yeah, I agree with you though, Veazey. They got to have, if he's going to go somewhere, it's got to be in a system that fits him well. Don't try to make something out of him that's just not going to happen. And I think that's kind of where the league is shifting anyways. And a lot of these offensive coordinators, for the most part, if they're smart, we'll build around. Smart. But I mean, we do what?
I was going to say, if they're smart. Some of them are too smart for their own good. And we kind of we saw with Lamar Jackson in the ACC championship game, where they're this dominant run team against a team that struggles to defend the run, and you try to make Lamar Jackson a pocket passer. Sometimes they're too smart for their own good and try to do things that are outside of the player's strengths.
I mean, I'm interested to see too, like with the Panthers here, they're bringing on Dave Canales, and Dave Canales' time at Seattle did a great job there with Geno Smith developing him, and then you go into another just 1-year deal here with Baker Mayfield. Develops him very well. He's going to get him paid, and now they're going to try it out with Bryce Young, former number 1 overall pick. And I'm interested to see, if that's the case, that's something that I would hope that, Jordan Travis gets put into, where they can utilize his talents to the best of his abilities. So we'll see what ends up happening in this NFL draft. I think it's going to be a super fun one. I don't think it's going to be so crazy NFL free agency frenzy like we had last year. But I think NFL draft-wise, there's a lot of big teams with big markets, too, right off the bat that are trying to find their future franchise quarterback. And things are going to get interesting to where maybe Jordan Travis gets picked in this draft and see where he goes. So it will be super fun to follow. And then real quick, Rodney Hill to FAMU. Rattler strike.
You gave no Senior Bowl updates.
None, not a single one.
He was like, we're going to go into the Senior Bowl. And then he goes, and at the East-West Shrine Bowl, Jordan Travis.
I mean, Johnny Wilson's running fast. There's no shocker there.
I still can't believe he measured in with a 7-foot wingspan. Like, it just blows my mind.
You want him in Minnesota? With Justin
we don't
Jefferson?
really need him. Like, would it be fun? Yes, but we have so many other needs before we draft a receiver in the 3rd round, which is what we'd have to do.
Yeah. And you got to figure out if you want to have Kirk Cousins for the rest of your life.
It's probably going to happen.
Damn.
I just accepted that there's no way they're going to trade to the 3rd overall pick. It's just going to be too expensive to select one of the top 3 guys. And the way Penix and Bo Nix have looked at the Senior Bowl, it's not worth taking those guys at any point in the first 2 rounds. So, just give me Kirk for another year and then take, I don't know, Joe Milton in like the 4th round.
Well, one guy who is looking good at the Senior Bowl is our former Hear the Spear guest and FSU defensive tackle, Braden Fisk.
He's
Named
quick.
Yeah, by the majority of people out there, named one of the standouts of day one. Came back and it looked like he had another solid outing today out there in Mobile. So Braden Fisk, potentially earning himself some money out there this week with a couple of dominating practices where, showcasing his speed, his physicality. I mean, he's really been on one.
Yeah, he's gone from like maybe a late 3rd round pick, early 4th round pick to I don't see a way he gets out of the 2nd round at this point, just with how many teams need interior defensive line. And he's arguably in that conversation of the top 3 or 4. That there's definitely a chance he could fly off in that 2nd round. I think Kalen DeLoach made himself some money at the East West Shrine Bowl. So did Jarian Jones and Renardo Green, or Jarian Jones, excuse me. Everyone was talking about how athletic Kalen looked flying around all over the field, in coverage, blowing up the run. And then obviously Jones and Green are 2 sticky man corners. There's not enough of those in the NFL, and teams can never have enough good cornerbacks. So everyone's been making themselves some money this past week.
And to add to that, Fabian Lovett, I've seen him getting some love as well out there at the East West Shrine Bowl practices. That game is actually going to be tomorrow night, Thursday, February 1st, at 8 p.m. I don't believe Jordan Travis is still out there, but those other 4 guys that Austin just mentioned, Jarian Jones, Renardo Green, Kalen DeLoach, and Fabian Lovett, all expected to suit up.
That'll be fun. Yeah, Braden. Look at this. I mean, we saw it in practice all the time. We saw it in the ACC Championship. We saw them all throughout the season. But just grab and drag. See ya. Get off me.
If I'm not wrong, it's Miles Frazier from LSU, I believe.
So he's already done that a couple times then.
Yeah. We saw that in Orlando. But yeah, Braden's going to be a steal. He's a guy that's just going to, like you said, both y'all, he's going to earn himself some extra money going into this draft, and I can't wait to see where he ends up getting picked up. But if you guys haven't yet, I would go check out that interview we had a couple weeks ago with him.
I think he's probably someone that right now is going to go higher than a lot of people are projecting him, especially if he can keep this up and go show off some of that athleticism at the combine, because he's an underrated athlete. I mean, we saw some of it at Florida State, and even still, for much of the season, limited some by that foot injury. I believe it was turf toe. So, now getting a little bit of chance to rehab from that, he looks really great out there at the Senior Bowl. But outside of Fisk and Johnny Wilson, you also got Jaheim Bell out there. He's also had some rave reviews for some plays, and Senior Bowl going to be played Saturday, February 3rd at 1 p.m.
Make sure y'all tuned into that. To finish off the show, and then we'll have some basketball also at the very end, but we got some first round projections here from a few guys, and starting off with Mel Kiper's mock draft 1.0 from ESPN. Jared Verse selected at, first off here, who do y'all think is, well, you kind of already know this one, Dustin, but maybe Austin doesn't know. Maybe he doesn't know. Maybe he doesn't read our content. Who do you think Mel Kiper has going higher, Jared Verse or Keon Coleman?
Well, I read the Discord, so I saw that Jared Verse was going to the Rams and Keon Coleman was going to the Colts. So I believe the Colts have the higher pick.
Yeah, there's a few of them. I think CBS Sports too. We have one that's going out tomorrow, but specifically though for Mel Kiper, he's got Jared Verse going number 19 overall. And then also Keon Coleman going number 15. And that one's pretty interesting too, because of Pittman and Micah Pittman's brother. Depending on, getting a mega deal there for wide receiver, Keon Coleman could come in and replace there, depending on if Pittman ends up picking or ends up going somewhere else. But those two are right now projected on the first round for Mel Kiper's mock draft, and then CBS Sports has Jared Verse getting picked in the top 10 at number 9 with the Bears, and then Coleman selected to number 30, still staying in the first round with the Baltimore Ravens. But thoughts on these guys, man? This is going to be super fun to watch the next couple of months as we get prepared for the draft.
Yeah, Kuiper's projections were interesting. To me, that felt like the absolute latest Verse would go and the absolute earliest Coleman would go. It kind of seems like teams weren't very pleased with how Keon Coleman closed the season, which he did have, as saw it said summer, that he was dealing with a lower leg injury for pretty much the entire second half of the season, which you could tell. He wasn't as fluid as he was in the first half of the season. But you're kind of seeing him in that, Kansas City, Buffalo range at the very end of the first round, more than you are seeing him at 15 to Indianapolis. That was pretty high. And then Jared Verse, I think it goes as high as 8 to Atlanta if they end up making a trade for Justin Fields, let's say. So definitely an interesting projection. I think Verse is the more likely of the two to go higher in the first round. But, either way, they're going to be very productive in the NFL and come this time next season.
I think they're both going to end up going in the first round. And, Keon may get docked some for his performance last couple weeks of the season. But, like you said, he was clearly dealing with an injury and there's something wasn't quite right there. And I think we've seen with some of these clips surfacing over the last couple of weeks, these guys training out in Texas, Verse and Keon actually training together. Keon's looked a lot more explosive. Looks like he's getting back to his normal self. So I think when we get them both to the combine, we're going to get more of an indicator of how they both are physically.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to explode. And Jaheim Bell, guys like that, Johnny Wilson, like we were talking about.
I think Braden is going to be one of the stars of the combine.
I agree. Him and Verse. I think Verse is going to put on a show once we get to the combine because he's underratedly strong. And obviously we saw that in the Florida and Louisville game where he put 2 offensive linemen in the laps of quarterbacks. But I think he's going to impress some people at the combine, whereas the competition he's going up against, like Dallas Turner, who's more of a finesse guy. I think teams might look at Verse, who's still plenty fast, be like, interesting.
We're going to have a busy NFL draft weekend. That's what I'm just projecting right now.
I'm going to love it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be fun, man. I used to be back in the day, sit back and just watch a lot of Knowles get drafted and then just picture what they're going to be looking like in that room for where they're going in the organization wise. But I just think too, Jared Verse, not only I think a lot of people talk about what he brings on the field, but I think for a locker room, he would be enormous. He really would and would fit a team very fast. So that's one thing about Jared that I just deeply like about him a ton. He's got a lot of confidence, but just for a locker room essence, he'd be a big pick there, whoever gets him. But that's Mel Kiper's Talk CBS Sports. We'll continue to kind of do that throughout the next little while until we get to the NFL draft. And who knows, maybe we'll be able to grab a few of these guys on and get their thoughts on some of their projections. I've got Pro Bowl stuff going on this weekend. Jermaine Johnson, congratulations to him. Mm-hmm. He's now into the Pro Bowls, so we'll be seeing him. I'll be down there Saturday and Sundays, so going to look forward to hopefully trying to grab an interview from him and see if he'll be interested to coming on here to hear the Spear. And, of course, we already know about Jalen Ramsey as well. That one might be a little bit harder to try to grab on here, but you know what? You still got to try. He's going to still shoot my shot. I'll do a lot of things, Jalen. I'll do a lot of things to get you on here. But not crazy too far, though. Not too far.
I was about to say.
Yeah, let's chill on that real quick. I know where y'all are going to go.
And speaking of All-Star things, the All-Star reserves for the NBA will be announced tomorrow. And Scotty Barnes is someone to watch because he's been having an amazing season with Toronto. And the Eastern Conference front court hasn't been great. So Scotty may be a first-time All-Star about this time tomorrow.
Damn, Dustin. Thoughts? And we should get Dustin's take on everything that actually Scotty Barnes gets recognition-wise. So, Dustin, thoughts on that?
Overrated.
Oh, my God.
Jeez. Wow.
He's playing good.
For context, guys, Dustin called him a bust from the very beginning.
I projected him to be a bust, yeah.
And he's currently averaging 26 and 6.
He's currently not a bust.
26 and 6, shooting 32% from 3, which for him is pretty good. If you
that was the main question. Like, was he going to be able to get his shot together? And it's looked a lot better than it did at Florida State.
or sorry, actually he's 36% from three this season, 32% for his career, and he's shooting the career high almost 77% from the free throw line. He's made a huge stride, especially with Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby. Luwei, he's gotten some more opportunities recently.
Well, speaking of basketball, let's end off the show right here, Veazey. Give us the latest on B-ball. Of course, Dustin was in attendance for this one, and Florida State falls to North Carolina.
We get to
number
blame
3
D'Lo.
ranked team in the country, but 75-68. But yeah, D'Lo was in attendance.
I had a good time.
We kind of called it. We kind of did, but he pulled a U, Veazey. So I mean, can you blame him? He just like that's what you do. So
yeah,
the same boat now.
It was a closer game than the final score indicated. Like that was a 1-possession, 2-possession game for the majority down the stretch, and then missed shots and playing the free throw game ended up being a 7-point game, which the spread was 6.5. Ended up being a bad beat for a lot of people. But yeah, it was a tough game. Florida State was down 2 with 2 minutes left, and Jameer Watkins had a wide open 3. It was a great job, in getting him an open look, and just missed what was, he shot well from 3 that game. I believe he was 2 for 2 before that shot. Missed, and offense couldn't come forward when you needed it to. UNC's got RJ Davis and the officials, and that's what mattered, because there was a lot of questionable calls in that game where it's just, if 1 or 2 things go Florida State's way, or if Jameer hits that shot with 2 minutes left to go up 1, who knows what the game looks like. And maybe Florida State was UNC's first ACC loss instead of Georgia Tech last night. But definitely a tough loss. I think it was good that the guys get a week off to kind of get over that game. You didn't have to bounce back into another game. And they've got Louisville on Saturday, which, let's be honest, Louisville's kind of bad. I'll say it. They suck. They're horrible. If Florida State loses Saturday, it's going to be bad. And as I put in an article yesterday, Florida State really can't afford to lose this game. They pretty much have to go at a minimum 9-2 these last 11 games if they want any chance at an at-large tournament shot. There's just not a ton of chances for quality wins, and they already have a couple really bad losses to Georgia, Lipscomb, and USF, all 3 quad 3 losses. Granted, if Georgia can hold on to this win against Alabama, there's about 6 minutes left in this game that I'm watching now. Maybe that can look a little bit better, but Florida State's got to close the season strong if they want any chances, and it starts by not having any more bad losses Saturday against Louisville.
It was a tough game. The officiating obviously wasn't great, but I think just once again, it's kind of the Jekyll and Hyde that we've seen from Florida State throughout the season. A really, really good first half, and then they come out pretty flat for majority of that second half. And, we're able to get back in it, but just not enough to pull off that upset against North Carolina. It would have been huge for their NCAA tournament resume. But at the same time, once again, another promising effort against a really good team. And if they can just put a couple more things together, couple more minutes of consistent play, they're going to pull off one of these upsets. And, there's still some opportunities on this schedule, and, we'll see how it goes. But, I'm trying to take the optimistic side of it. But when we talk about, and Austin said it before on past episodes, and you think back to how this team was playing a couple months ago, from where they were then to where they are now, they're playing a lot better and a lot more together out there on the court.
It is pretty ridiculous in 2 games against Carolina where you get 19 free throw attempts to UNC's 55. Just
doesn't help.
Something about that doesn't quite sit well with me. At the same time, you can't expect to score 27 points in the second half against North Carolina and win. Your offense has to be a little bit better. Primo Spears and Jameer Watkins weren't the most efficient. Chandler Jackson had a really good game, 10 points in just 10 minutes, gave them really good minutes off the bench, but they still needed just a little bit more. And, if Jameer Watkins is 5 of 12 instead of 3 of 12, if I'm correct, that ends up being a much different game. And, maybe Florida State's still standing alone in second place in the ACC.
And you said 27 points in the second half. Do you by any chance offhand remember how many they had in the second half of the first matchup? Because it probably wasn't more than 27.
I want to say it was the same, actually. I can check real quick. I believe
it's really 2 bad halves. Doom you in those games.
It was 2 amazing first halves in both games and 2 really bad second halves. December.
Well,
Oh no, actually it was 35.
Oh wow, I'm honestly surprised.
Yeah, for some reason I thought they scored more than 35 in the first half. In that first game.
Damn.
But it's just UNC had scored 49 in that second half.
I will say that was the most packed I've seen the Tucker Center so far this season. I mean, it was.
Well, isn't that your first and only game you've been to this year?
Yeah, but I mean, you can get a good feel.
Oh my god!
You can get a good feel from the TV. And I've also had my family send me some pictures from games that weren't very endearing. So
I believe they announced the attendance at 10,200. So pretty close to a sellout. It's not bad at all. I expect if Florida State can still have success over these next 2 weeks, that game against Duke might be a sellout.
Yeah, it was loud. I could hear it through the TV, so that was good stuff. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap up this week's episode. Tomorrow morning, make sure you're following us on our socials. Dustin, you're traveling, so I'll be tweeting the majority of them, but we'll be hearing from BJ Gibson. We'll be hearing from DJ. We'll be hearing from Grady Kelly. No more DJ?
DJ is out.
Dang.
He's out of here.
Jaylen Brown's out. But we're getting Jaylen Brown, though.
Yeah, he got replaced with Jaylen Brown.
Okay, so now we're just substituting. So maybe next week we'll be hearing from DJ. DJ's too busy throwing deep balls to Malik Benson. So
the names I put in chat are the updated list.
Dang, I didn't get an email.
I was told, and it said in the email, subject to change. So, I mean, who even knows who we'll get?
Who knows who we'll hear from? I'm not even saying any more names. So just stay tuned to the Twitters. We got more newcomer interviews to keep an eye out for. But appreciate everybody hanging out with us this evening. As always, you can listen to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. Shout out to Big Meech for giving us a phenomenal interview there. We're looking to grab a few more guests for you guys as we move into February. Hope everybody had a good start to the year. And we look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Peace.
Mama told me not to say a word. 17.5, same color t-shirt.